get close. She's here and she's going strong. Maria Sanchez, this is a show, darling. She'll give you something to...
Welcome back to the Maria Sanchez Show. It's Monday, November 8th, and we are live. Yep, that's right, we're live. So if you're watching us on delay, try and make us an appointment so that you can just put us there, minimize the box, walks in the office, you can mute it, and you can bring it back up. But when you get home from work, or if you don't have a chance to watch us at that time, you can always go onto our archives at kadytv.com and click to see what it is that we did, and you can fast forward, and you can kind of customize it. Thursday is Veterans Day, of course, and we are going to be broadcasting from Ivy Lawn Memorial. So if there is a family member or friend that's deployed somewhere in the world, please come and join us, because we are going to provide an opportunity for you to give a shout out. So you can let them watch, and then you can watch, and you can say hello and thank them for their service to our country. And speaking of service to our country, I've got Marty Melvin in studio with us. Marty is the executive director of the RCD, which is the Resource Conservation District.
Correct.
And a Vietnam vet.
Correct.
Marine.
Hoo-ha.
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're... And Veterans Day, does that mean anything to you?
Well, of course it does. You can't be a Marine and that not mean something. I mean, we're one of the oldest services. But I think, as you get further and further away from the conflict, it seems like those of us who are vets are more sort of engaged mentally and spiritually and psychologically and emotionally in the process. Well, of course, we're in the middle of two conflicts now, and so that means a lot to us, But yeah, it's very meaningful.
That's okay, it's on vibrate. Thank goodness. We're live, you see, so there's things that happen. I always share with our viewers that in the early days when television was live, and sometimes sets would reverberate, or people would say something off camera or whatever. I mean, that was the early days, and we're the early days. This is internet television, and so there aren't any rules, and there aren't really many that have preceded us. So what you're seeing is probably historic. And I'm saying that with all due humility. I'm not suggesting that we're historic, but what we're doing for KADY-TV probably is somewhat. Now, the reason Marty's visiting with us is threefold. One, to share with our viewers what is the Resource Conservation District. Two, the event that you're having next week that's here in the county.
Correct.
So we want to promote that because it's in the county. And then three, not only is it in the county, but the county can avail themselves of the seminars that you're offering.
They can, yes.
So we wanted to get all of that together so everybody understands. Now, obviously, water is a very important resource for a county such as ours, which is agriculturally diverse.
Correct.
So talk about the RCD and what it is.
Resource Conservation Districts began in the 40s after the Dust Bowl. And they were an offshoot of what was originally called soil conservation districts. We partner with a federal agency called back then it was the Soil Conservation Service, now it's the Natural Resource Conservation Service. Basically our mandate, we're a state special district, so we're a nonprofit entity governed by a board. We work with landowners and government entities, nonprofits and individuals on the sort of maintenance, sustainability, and restoration of natural resource issues in the county. This RCD has a strong emphasis on agriculture. Ventura County is the 10th most significant agricultural county in the United States.
In the United States?
In the United States, out of 3,400 counties. So we're very, very important agriculturally. 37,000 jobs are provided by agriculture, and last year's farm report, $1.7 billion in value. So it's a very, very important part of our economy here. And a lot of historical significance. They've been, for example, raising cattle here for over 200 years. We've been farming here, of course, for that long at least. So the conservation districts work with landowners. We're sometimes a bridge between the regulatory community and the landowners to help resolve issues. Currently, we have programs in water efficiency, water quality for runoff off of farms, how to reduce whatever's in the water from running off into the streams and watersheds. We have an education program where we teach agriculture that's specific to the county, to third graders. That's being expanded to junior high, and then hopefully we're beginning to develop a program of encouraging children in careers in agriculture, which is we're working with Ventura College and some of the high schools to develop that down the road. So historically around the state, RCDs are involved in all kinds of things: timber, environmental restoration, a lot of ag and conservation practices on agriculture and rangeland. And they're publicly supported in some cases by tax revenue as a special district, like a school district. In our case, we don't have that, so most of our funding comes from contributions from private individuals and or government grants or foundation grants.
Wow. And what's your budget?
Last year it was at $1,071,000, which was all raised, had to be raised, from a grant writing contribution. My job.
I was just going to say, by you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
why would we not have a base that's taxed with agriculture?
Well, I think what happened is that originally there were 5 soil conservation districts when you go back to the 40s, and they merged
5 in Ventura.
5 in Ventura County,
Okay.
and they merged into 3, and then those 3 merged in 1979 into 1. And at the time, the boards didn't go for the tax base, so they just sort of let it lapse. It was going to be small government, And the programs at that time were supported a lot by federal grants to the Department of Agriculture, a lot of water projects, floodways, things like that we were involved in over the years. I think the board at the time just felt like, we could get by without that. I think the current board wishes that they hadn't done that. But, we're managing to, obviously we're surviving and doing well. And I think every RCD has a niche. The Santa Monica Mountains RCD doesn't have any ag. It's around the Santa Monica Mountains and the watersheds there, and they do have a large tax base, of course a lot of property. So it just kind of depends on the region. But this one here is doing better than it has. We're happy with the way it's going.
Do you complement, or is there some overlap or step on toes in terms of waterways and lakes and the Pacific Ocean?
Well, any natural resources that is out there, we can be involved in some way as a stakeholder or grant participant doing work in that arena. There's a number of RCDs that are involved with this invasive mussel, checking they have programs where they inspect, the boats and things like that. So it just kind of depends on the mission. Each RCD decides annually and kind of on a 5-year basis, and then annually on what the most important concerns are. We've really been involved since I came on board the last 4 years in water, because water is a huge issue, and ag water is a huge issue. So that's probably about half of our budget is focused on that arena.
Now, when I had my radio program, there was a huge scare with Kachuma and the mussels that you were speaking
Right,
of.
yeah.
Were you involved in that? I don't recall.
We weren't involved directly with it, but of course, we're aware of invasives, plants and invasive species and those kinds of things, because it's a big deal about how it impacts agriculture and all of us and those kinds of things. So not directly involved, but we're involved as a stakeholder or a committee member.
So if somebody would like to know more, you obviously have contact information, but do you solicit for folks to join in either as volunteers or to put their hat in the ring to be on the board, or?
We just went through a process of looking for new board members. You have to own land within the district to be a board member, so it's typically people that are in the unincorporated areas of the county, but we encourage that. We are the lead agency for the Coastal Cleanup Day, which is the largest volunteer effort in California. And so
that just was, right?
That was just in September, yeah.
Okay,
so we were involved in that.
You need to visit with us prior to that next year.
Yeah, that's a great deal. And so but we have a website. It's called conserveventura.org, and they can learn about the RCD there. We do have a native plant landscape that we want people to come out and see and look at and see how they can use plants that are very, very local and very, water efficient, drought tolerant.
And that you have that at your
That's at the
headquarters.
facility in Somas,
Okay.
California. Yeah.
So tell folks how to get there, because you're.
The best way to get there is to take Lewis Road from Camarillo,
Mhm.
or 118 from the backside of Las Posas Valley from Moore Park or Ventura, and you get on Somas Road, and we're right on Somas Road, right next to the fire station.
And it's kind of a show and tell that you have there.
Yeah, there's we re-landscape the whole thing in local native plants, so that we could show people how they could have a very attractive, landscape, and basically get down to where you could turn the water off in certain years where you wouldn't have to use it. It's all native.
So when we come back, we're visiting with Marty Melvin, who is the executive officer with the Resource Conservation District. Marty has been entrusted with the responsibility to bring the state together in that regard next week. And it's happening right here in Ventura County. So it's not only of interest because it's newsworthy, it's also there are assets there that the county individuals can take advantage of, and we wanted to help promote that and your involvement as well. So we will be right back. Thank you for watching the Maria Sanchez Show here on KADYTV.com.
The Maria Sanchez Show is about the county, by the county, and for the county. Whether we are simulcasting live from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, checking in with the leaders of our communities, hearing from our elected officials, helping to promote public safety, preparedness, and wellness. We are here for the needs of Ventura County. The Maria Sanchez Show is also about entertainment and events, sharing information, creating awareness, and supporting those in need. Won't you join us as we rewrite the rules of local television on the Maria Sanchez Show at www.kadytv.com.
Welcome back to the Maria Sanchez Show. Thank you for making us a part of your day. This begins week 3 of us being live, which we are Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock Pacific time. Then wherever news happens, we also meander, and that means when we're finished with our broadcast today, we're going to rebroadcast the Chief John Prom Back's Oxnard Police Department's retirement party, which was held at the Mullen Automotive Museum on Friday evening. And speaking of being out in the community, on Thursday, which is Veterans Day, we will be at 10:30 at Ivy Lawn Memorial. They have a Veterans Day ceremony. We're inviting any of you who have service members who are deployed throughout the world to come, and we will give you an opportunity for a shout out to them. So if you have the opportunity, please come and be with us. If not, you can watch on KADYTV.com. We're continuing our conversation with the Executive Officer of the Resource Conservation District, Marty Melvin. And Marty just gave us an overview of what the RCD, as it is called in shorthand, the acronym.
Yes.
Everybody seems to have those. I don't know.
Yeah, I wish they had called it Bob. It would have been a lot easier. Yeah. RCD
We're
is very tough.
by Bobs.
Yeah.
When I was with the American Red Cross, they have a sea of them. And I got deployed for the Cessna on Fire, and they would have debriefings at the beginning and the end of the day. And I'd be in a room with all these folks there that I'd been deployed to, and they would let these things fly, and I'd sit there and I'd think, I know they're speaking English, but I can't understand them. So I try and but Resource Conservation District is not that difficult. So RCD, so that's what for short. Now tell us a little background about the fact that you're hosting it for the RCD. Ventura County is hosting this statewide event next week.
Right. Every year, the California Association of Resource Conservation Districts has an annual conference where we all come together and we share new ideas and listen to speakers and talk about things about new ways of habitat restoration or agricultural policies or ways of raising funds. There's all the basics about RCD 101. What is it? What do RCDs do and those kinds of things. And so this year, as part of our goal to expand awareness of us in the community, we offered to host it here, and it would be at the Crown. It's at the Crown Plaza Hotel, beginning next Wednesday through Saturday, and it goes. The 2 big days are Thursday and Friday, where we have seminars, speakers. We have a luncheon on Friday that we're bringing the community in for an award luncheon for an award we're going to begin annually doing with regard to excellence in agricultural stewardship and sustainability.
Now, when you say we, do you mean we?
The RCD, no, us, the Ventura County
Ventura
RCD.
County. Okay.
Yeah.
So in this event that you're having next week, you're launching an annual award.
Right.
And you've invited KADYTV.com to be there, which we are. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Yes.
and then the awardee also happens to coincidentally be the keynote speaker, who has also been an in-studio guest for us, so you might as well share with the viewers.
Well, Harold Edwards was asked to speak. The theme for the conference this year is reinvigorating, re-envisioning the RCDs, because they have the gamut. We have RCDs that have multi-million-dollar budgets and some that have no budget. There's 111 of us around the state. So we wanted someone like Harold, who has cross-county agricultural involvement, sort of unique. They're very forward-thinking in energy and all kinds of other sustainable practices. So we wanted someone to speak to that. So Harold,
you mentioned what company he is.
Yeah, Limonera. I'm sorry, Limonera Company, Harold Edwards. So he agreed, and then in the process, they were also nominated for this award, which we got nominations from people from the Farm Bureau, the public at large, the Cattlemen's Association. There's a group called Ag Futures Alliance. It's a committee of various stakeholders, ag, environmental, civic, and we got 8 nominations for the award. This is our first year, so we're sort of working into it. And as it turns out, when the staff got together and decided who would get it based on our criteria, Limonera happened to win the award. So they will be receiving that award on Friday at this luncheon that's going to be held at the Crown Plaza.
So he's your keynote speaker at that luncheon?
Yes.
And he also gets the award. It's like,
they thought, well, that's a little bit.
No graft and corruption there. No, I'm
it's
sure
it's not the city of Bell, trust me. Yeah.
The highest of standards.
Right, yeah.
Now, you mentioned that the general public can get involved on Thursday and Friday. What can they get involved in?
Well, there are seminars during the day. For example, the first general session on Thursday morning, Edgar Terry, who owns Terry Farms, he's also a professor at Cal Lutheran, MBA professor. Terry Farms is a big strawberry grower. He's also going to speak about agriculture in the county, where we're going, the issues that related to that. As you know, there's been a pesticide issue that the strawberry growers use that they're having to change. What does that mean for strawberry growers? Are they going to continue to grow strawberries here? Land in Ventura County is expensive. It's very costly. The average rent on farmland on the Oxnard Plains is about $3,200 an acre per year. For most strawberry growers, they've got about $20,000 plus in the ground before they ever pick a berry.
Wow.
So it's very, very, very cash intensive. And the returns on investment for most agriculture in the county isn't that high. I've heard from 6 to 11% overall. I mean, there are some that do better than others. Raspberries are becoming a newer crop. They have a little bit more of a return, but they're in the ground for a year or two. They're in the ground longer because there's a multi-year cycle with raspberries. You don't have to pull them out every year. Strawberries tend to be a very water-intensive crop at the beginning, although they're very efficient use with drip and all those kinds of things after. So those issues all relate to where we're going in Ventura County and what will agriculture look like in the future here, because it's a huge component of our economy and our culture. And like I said, 37,000 jobs. That's a lot of jobs.
Does that count Limonera in your 37,000?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So something that I learned on Friday night at Chief Cronbach's retirement was from Dean Mulhart, whose family, as you are probably aware, has been here since the 1860s.
Yes.
And he was sharing about their legacy and their history, and he said that they came here initially and were raising sugar beets.
Yeah.
And I said, sugar beets? I haven't heard about them being in the county. He said, well, they aren't much anymore because it's a year-long crop. And so it's not as financially lucrative as a crop that has a shorter season that then you can harvest and then you plant something else, like you said, celery and strawberries.
For years, Somas, there were a lot of walnuts. Walnuts was a huge crop here back in the 40s and 50s. When I came here in the early 50s, lima beans and sugar beets were everything. And the nice thing about lima beans is they're you don't irrigate them. You don't irrigate. No, you plant them after the rains and then you let them dry out But lima beans aren't. A lot of people aren't going out to buy lima beans nowadays. For some, I happen to like them personally, but But
I don't think my children have ever had a lima bean. I don't think
they're actually, they can be prepared. The Italians know how to prepare them pretty well.
Yes.
But so, and this is part of the conference, part of what we do, part of what we think about in our partnerships with the Farm Bureau and water districts and these other agencies is that what's the future look like? How do we sustain agriculture? And that's a key component to our strategy in the county, given the costs and all the things associated with farmers have to make a living too. with
Gee,
that.
there's a thought.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they just shouldn't altruistic.
Right, yeah, just grow food for everybody. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Avail themselves of local resources and hire people, and then, that
Right.
family that you need to support. Fine. Don't worry about
And
that.
we do have some unique stuff. There's a lot of organic farmers. There's some community-supported agriculture going on here. There are new crop things that they're looking at developing in terms of a better return on investment, or is this going to be better for the county where we live? We live in a very unique growing area. I mean, we can, between Santa Maria and San Diego, I mean, you can grow pretty much any crop that's grown in the world, and it's just is it cost effective, and can you do it well and provide good quality crops? Those are all important issues.
And we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back to finish up the segment, because something that you've mentioned that I hadn't thought about before is, what does it take to start a crop? Let's say that somebody's watching and that they want to, and I know this is not politically correct, but they want to be the gentleman farmer, which is about 20 acres, I think, minimum.
Yeah, 20.
And then what the investment is, what the infrastructure is, what the time is from when you plant to when you get your first harvest and all that sort of thing. You must have. Are you a resource for folks who are thinking about something?
Well,
like
we do because we have partnership with the NRCS, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, and so we do, and the University of California Extension Service, which has a lot of crop advisors. We all partner together, so people do come through us for those kinds of things.
Because I would think that would be to everybody's benefit, that if somebody's thinking about doing that they make the best, smartest choice possible, so that it's a successful story for everybody.
Well, you would hope, but farmers tend to be very independent people.
I can see
stuff.
that.
Yeah. So, which is a good thing, but there are oftentimes people do plan things, and they haven't really looked at the soil types and all the issues related to, is that crop going to be effective here?
Wow.
Yeah.
Marty Melvin, Executive Officer, Resource Conservation District. We'll be right back. Thank you for watching the Maria Sanchez Show. Don't you go anywhere.
The Maria Sanchez Show is about the county, by the county, and for the county. Whether we are simulcasting live from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, checking in with the leaders of our communities, hearing from our elected officials, helping to promote public safety, preparedness, and wellness. We are here for the needs of Ventura County. The Maria Sanchez Show is also about entertainment and events, sharing information, creating awareness, and supporting those in need. Won't you join us as we rewrite the rules of local television on the Maria Sanchez Show at www.kadytv.com.
Welcome back to the Maria Sanchez Show. We're continuing our conversation with Executive Officer Marty Melvin with the Resource Conservation District. Coming on the program tomorrow, we have something that's happening in Santa Paula, and they're going to visit with us and talk about how you can get involved in its beautification. We also have tomorrow Terry Taylor Gonzalez from Ivy Lawn Memorial. She's going to be speaking about the Veterans Day program that we're participating in on Thursday. And then we have another 501c3, Letters to Home. They're visiting for us. If you know of a 501c3 or you are one, we are user-friendly in that regard. We'd like to feature at least one a day. There are over 2,000 of them in the county of Ventura. Obviously, they have their reasons for being in existence. We want to give you your little platform so that you can let our viewers know what it is that you're after, how they can get involved, and perhaps even how they could donate. So, Marty, before we went to the break, you were talking about folks wanting to grow certain crops and how you could be a resource for them, but they don't always pay attention.
Well, I think it's, awareness. I mean, one of the biggest challenges I think that all the agencies have that work with the public is education. And we were talking about this earlier. We've had a gentleman come in that wanted to do some development on a hillside, plant some agricultural plants, grapes, lemons, and avocados. And we'd ask them, well, have they done a farm plan? And they hadn't. They just thought, So, there's this whole process of looking at the soil and the type and what kind of things are going on here. I mean, grapes are not really good in Ventura County now because of an invasive pest that destroys particularly wine grapes called a glassy waxwing sharpshooter that carries Pierce disease. It's a huge issue for California at large and for Southern California where it's here. They don't have it up north yet, thank goodness.
What about Paso?
Paso does not have it yet, fortunately. But it's like there's another disease that's been in the papers a lot called it's Walong Bing. It's a Asian citrus greening disease that destroys citrus. It's wiped out quite a bit of Florida's citrus industry, and it's potentially coming here. It's moved around the world, really. So these kinds of issues are big things for us and other people in agriculture. But yes, people do come in. It's always good when you're thinking about doing agriculture, unless, of course, it depends if you're doing it because you want to make money or you're doing it because you have 20 or 30 acres with your home and you just want some green. In some cases, it may even be better just to leave it natural and maintain it in that state than to plant, avocados or oranges if it's going to cost you more than the value of having there. I've been told by people that should know that you can actually make money on avocados and or citrus with 10 acres or more. Doesn't mean you always will, but you can. So yeah, we do help people with that. We refer them to other experts and people to help.
Well, I would think it's just like a car. If you're going to make an investment or a career or a business, that you would tap into the minds that know, so that you make an informed decision. So that, oh yeah, by the way, those avocados, they take 7 years, and you need male and female on the property, and you can't get the return unless you budget for that. Well, then you should probably know that before you plant avocados. If you don't have the bank to support, because trees just don't do that.
Right. Well, fortunately, the companies that sell the trees are very much aware of the people like us and others, Farm Bureau, University of California Extension Service that has crop advisors. They're familiar with that, and they'll refer people, to us. Have you thought through this, thought through that? In this one case I mentioned to you during the break, we had someone that wanted to develop this piece of property, and we looked at it and we said, well, these issues, this won't work here. I mean, the citrus won't grow in this soil, and because we do have maps that cover every bit of the county that the U.S. Geological Survey did years ago that shows the soil types, so you know exactly what kind of soil there is, if it's how erosive it is, if there's landslide hazards. We have maps for all those things. And so we mentioned this to the person, and they realized that you could grow avocados because they have a very shallow root base, but the other crops they were talking about probably wouldn't work. I mean, people on their land can plant whatever they want,
right?
But obviously, we try to encourage them to do something that ultimately is going to be worthwhile.
So getting back to the event that's happening next week, if somebody would like to see the schedule of events, both on Thursday and Friday, and then if they'd like to attend, let's say 2 on Thursday and the luncheon on Friday, they go about that how?
Well, there's a schedule. We have a schedule. There's a schedule posted online, and if they go and Google CARCD Conference, CARCD Conference is California Association Resource Conservation District, but CARCD Conference, the schedule will pop up and they'll be able to look at it. We have seminars throughout the day. There's, I think, 8 breakout sessions on Thursday, 6 on Thursday, and I think 7 on Friday, with all kinds of various things, water issues, habitat, pesticide, and things related directly to RCDs, but there are stuff that would be interested to the public at large. If they have any interest in agriculture or the environment, they can register, I guess, on a daily basis. There's you pay so much for the day or so much for seminar.
And then lunch itself.
The luncheon
on Friday.
Yeah, the luncheon on Friday is invitation. It's complimentary. We have a sponsor that's paying for it. You do need a reservation, so if you're interested, they can contact you or they can contact the the RCD. If they put in VCRCD in Google, we'll pop up. Or conserveventura.org is our website, and they can just contact me and make the reservation.
And that is also with the keynote speaker of Harold.
Harold Edwards is speaking at that, and we will present our awards this year to the recipients of the awards that we're handing out.
And Bob Allen, who is my business partner and the techno whiz and the brains of our organization, so that he knows that the Crown has a fairly good internet connection, and but he has to do a site check to see if we can actually even telecast that live, which means because you're going to get sold out at some point.
Yeah,
for free lunch.
Yeah, we need to have that reservations by Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today's Monday, so by Friday, for next Friday.
Right.
So we'll be there one way or the other, and our viewers might be able to be there as
Yeah,
well.
that would be great.
Live, and or we can do the delay like we did with Chief Kronbach in that
Excellent.
regard. Anything else you want to add, Marty?
No, thank you very much, Maria, for being on the show, and we definitely want people to get involved if they're interested.
And again, you were looking for board members, but you have to be landowners. And is there any way that somebody else could get involved if they have some?
We
time
do have. We are beginning to develop more volunteers. We have our education program. We're going to be looking for volunteers to help out with that. There are tours that we do of facilities. We do a lot of tours at Limoneira to show kids the whole crop, distribution.
Oh, so that you don't just pull it off the shelf
Right,
in the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something that goes behind that process.
So we are developing the volunteers.
That's nice.
Many RCDs have a lot of volunteers. We haven't had the kind of programs yet that lended itself to that other than the Coastal Cleanup Day.
Mm-hmm.
But we have used volunteers in the past. We are going to begin doing that. So we welcome people to contact us and find out more about what we're doing.
And speaking of the Coastal Cleanup Day, since it had already happened and it was in September, as you mentioned,
25th.
Are there some things that you could let people know about that I found staggering with the amount that is reclaimed, like cigarette butts and things like that?
They do post, you can go, I think there is a site, Coastal Cleanup Day site. They do post those. We get those statistics. The coordinator of that program would have those. We can make those available to people. I saw that article in the Eye on the Environment, which we post occasionally to that site as well, that half of the trash was cigarette butts. It just was kind of, that we're talking tons and tons.
Right.
It seemed a bit astounding.
To me too. And I can see how if somebody's a smoker and you think, well, this is all that's left and what's the big deal? It's sand just like an ashtray would be, and et cetera. And yet, I guess it doesn't decompose.
Well, the filters don't typically.
Right.
When I thought about it, one of the things I thought was, well, is that the volume by content, or was that actually half of the weight? Because it just seems like, they pull cars and trash and all kinds of really, really heavy things
out.
Yeah, it's crazy what they pull out on these.
And didn't count cigars.
Didn't count cigars because they're biodegradable. They go away. They're like grass.
Inside joke, because Marty's a big cigar guy.
Yes,
so,
I am. Yeah.
And I'm known to have my occasional one, but so I had to say.
Yeah. We're into organic. Yeah.
Yeah, organic. There's such a thing. I know they have that native spirit cigarettes that are apparently less.
Right. They don't have any additives.
Yeah. Is there something like that along the cigar lines?
Well, all cigars would be basically. I don't think there's organic because where they grow them,
right.
They do have
they
use
them.
fertilizers and they do use some pesticides and whatnot. But they don't have the level of additives because cigarettes typically have things added to them. Cigar people are much more inclined to. They want to smoke something that doesn't have anything added to it. Pure. In
pure
Spanish,
tobacco.
In Spanish, as a matter of fact, cigar is puro. The word for
right.
cigar is puro. So it's that whole idea that you're, kind of going back to Christopher Columbus sitting around with the natives. What is this? This is tobacco. Yeah, got the whole world addicted.
I still want to know, but you still can have tongue and lip and throat issues. So
right.
Not
Yes,
to say
you can.
that they're not.
Yeah.
Noxious.
Enter at your own risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So Marty Melvin has been our guest. He's the executive officer with the Resource Conservation District. Their event here in Ventura County is next week. You can log on to our website or preferably theirs so you can get all the details. We thank you so much for watching KADYTV.com and the Maria Sanchez Show. When we finish this segment, we are going to now show you the rebroadcast of the Chief of the Oxnard Police Department's retirement, Chief John Kronbach, and the many guests that we were able to visit with on Friday night. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Maria Sanchez here. We're broadcasting from the Mullum Automotive Museum in beautiful Oxnard, and we have Chief John Kronbach with us, and that's the reason we're here. Chief is retiring, and this is where he chose to have his gala. And Chief, welcome to the program. Thank you for allowing KADYTV.com to be here with you this evening.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And will you let our viewers know a little bit about your career?
Well, let's see. Gosh, it started way back in 1974, actually. I was a second-class petty officer in the Navy stationed out at Point Mugu, and I went to the Port Hueneme Police Department right after Al Gelati was elected sheriff. He'd been the police chief in Port Hueneme, and I became a reserve officer, and